Yeah, we'll just wait a few more seconds.
Are you ready, world?
Yeah, it's on now. So, good evening, everyone, and this is Drew, and welcome back to Missosology Beauty Talks. And for tonight's episode, we are joined by former Missosology correspondent, Miss International Marketing Manager Stephen Diaz. And we're very pleased to welcome our special guest for tonight, or for this morning, from the center of the world, Ecuador, Miss Earth 2016, Katherine Espin.
Thank you guys. Oh wow, I'm so happy
First of
to
all,
be here
Kath,
with you.
thank you for waking up so early for this interview.
Of course, I had to.
Yeah,
I love
and it's been 3 years since we last talked to you. So how are you? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing actually very good. I think this quarantine time actually helped me a lot to somehow create a more united family with my loved ones. We started to do more things together. It's been a very um, bonding time. It's been actually helpful, and it has taught me a lot to value my life. What we have. It's been 3 months and more here in Ecuador. The situation here has been very bad due to so many factors, and I've tried to stay positive in a way and learn from all this, and just with the pandemic, just trying to be positive. I've been healthy, thank God. I haven't been with the virus, but I'm still taking care every single day because it's still dangerous. And with my life, I'm very happy. I'm actually starting a new project in a few, and of course, not leaving behind Mr. Ecuador, which is like my baby. So I'm very happy to tell you everything.
I'll be asking more about the Miss Earth Ecuador plans for this year. But for now, before we move forward to more pageant talk, I just want to ask you for a short message of hope to all the people now that we are experiencing a lot of issues from the pandemic and all that.
Well, my message to my fans and the people that have signed in, it's to always have hope and be thankful every single day that you're able to live and you're able to spend with your family, that you're able to be healthy, that you're able to have a food in your table. Just be very thankful to God, because we never know when we are going to leave this world, and we really need to be thankful for that, because we never saw this coming through the pandemic, and so many people have died throughout all this time, and I feel so bad because of that, and we just have to be very thankful, value our life, and live it to its fullest every single day. We never know what's going to happen tomorrow, so just smile, laugh, tell jokes, dance. That's what I've done all this time, exercise, just eat well, and basically that, just stay positive all the time. That's my message to all of you.
I miss hearing your positive attitude.
Thank you. Well, I try to always stay positive. It's the only way to stay pretty.
Yeah, and now we move forward to your pageant journey. So before you were known as Miss Earth 2016, when you were 16 years old, you saw an Ecuadorian queen was crowned Miss Earth. And then in one of your interviews, you said that you want to be Miss Earth when you grow up. So why Miss Earth? Why not the other pageants?
Well, the story that story I told, because I saw Olga Alava win the pageant, and her being Ecuadorian and winning with so many women, beautiful women from all over the world. For me, it was amazing. It was like, wow. And then Miss Earth, of course, she was Miss Earth, but then Miss Earth just like somehow stayed in my mind, and then I researched on Miss Earth, and I saw the whole concept of Miss Earth, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful, pageant. The girls actually go there, stay for so long. They do environmental activities, so many social works, so much stuff, and then it was like, wow, I have to be there. I just need to be there. That's for me. But it's that little voice telling you in your head that it's meant for you. It was like, I have to be there. Like, I'm going to be with Earth one day. And then that stayed in my mind for so many years. And then look, it happened. That's how actually it worked.
It's like law of attraction. You attracted it.
Yeah, it was like law of attraction. It just came to me, saw it on TV, and then stayed in my mind, and then I was just working on it. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But before you competed in Miss Earth, you first joined Reinado Internacional del Café in 2013,
Yes.
which is one of Stephen's favorite pageants.
It's one of my favorites. It has
Really
a very sentimental.
beautiful pageant. Oh,
See,
it's
it
beautiful.
is a very beautiful pageant.
I love it. You have no idea. I became a coffee lover after the pageant. That's a secret that nobody knows. Before the pageant, before Reinado Internacional Cafe, I was not a coffee lover. I didn't drink coffee. My mom always was like, don't drink coffee. Never, never. After the pageant, I became a coffee lover, and after that, I haven't stopped. It's crazy. It's like I fell in love with the haciendas of coffee from Colombia. It's so beautiful. Just the people. Wow, it's amazing. It's really an amazing pageant. I had so much fun.
I heard that the Reynaldo Internacional del Café in Colombia is actually a really good stepping stone for a lot of women to join in bigger pageants, because there has been so many Miss Universe, successful Miss Universe delegates. And even there was also a former Miss International winner who joined Reynaldo Internacional del Café before she won the Miss International title. And
Wow.
you being the first Miss Earth winner to actually join Miss Earth, Reynaldo del Café, and then becoming Miss Earth winner. Just recently in 2015, I think the first runner-up from Honduras in Miss International was also a product of Reynaldo International del Café. So
Yeah,
that's
she was batchmates with Catherine
you were
in
yeah,
Reinado.
Jennifer.
Yeah,
Yeah. Remember Miss Honduras?
in 2013.
Honduras?
In
Yeah,
Honduras in
Jennifer,
Reynaldo del Café.
Jennifer Valle.
Jennifer Valdez.
Oh, she was yeah, Honduras. She went to Miss International later on, and she was
Yeah, she
one
was
of the runner-ups. Yeah,
yeah.
she competed with me, and I think she placed somewhere in Reina
Like third runner
Internacional.
up, fourth runner up, something. Yeah.
I
She was
think
very
top
young
5.
back then. Really, really young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember her. Beautiful.
Why it's a really good stepping stone. Regardless of the result, if you experience that pageant, you start to have faith in pageantry, and you realize how good even a small pageant is. It gives you a positive experience so that you can actually do better, and then it becomes a step further into
I
who
know.
you have become, like becoming the first, no, not first, the second Miss Earth from Ecuador.
Yes, I have to totally agree with you. That was my first pageant, and it was my first experience, being in international scenario, and the people and everyone. Of course, I didn't place nowhere. I had no
Doesn't matter.
experience.
It doesn't matter.
But it was wow. It was very good for me, for my experience. It really helped me a lot with all the activities, and wake up 5 a.m., wake up this, wake up that.
Going to the
Everything that happened in
mountains,
there. I was already very trained in Colombia before it. Yeah.
And I'm very
like Drew, before you ask the question, just want to ask first, like
okay.
what was the national pageant in Ecuador before you joined the Miss Earth pageant? Because I am familiar with the Miss Ecuador organization, because I deal with the people there with the Miss International. But how did you become the Ecuadorian representative of
for Miss
Oh,
Earth.
Yes, sir.
no, because not so many people know about it. Maybe the fans already know about it, but for the sake of our viewers who have no idea about it, can you please give us an idea or a background
Of course.
how you became
Yeah.
Miss Earth Ecuador?
Of course. Well, in my year, there was another national director. So I don't know how he made his selection. Maybe throughout reviewing girls, their experience, everything. Maybe he's told me in other pageants, because before that I went to Miss Bikini Universe in China. I don't know if everyone knows, but I placed first runner up. We competed like 70 girls. Yeah. And then I thought he saw, I think he saw my potential, I guess, in that year. And then he called me. He proposed to me, to become Miss Earth Ecuador with the very different instructions, in terms of payment, in terms of what I have to get, and this, that. And then that's how he named me Miss Earth Ecuador. He used to do that every year. So I was one of the delegates that he made it through that method. He chose me through that. So it was a direct selection.
Thing? Was it like a casting or an audition, and then he chose you to become Miss Earth Ecuador?
No, we didn't have an audition. He just contacted me, and of course he asked me to interview me one day, and then we spoke and we talked about it, and then I had to make a decision, and that's how it happened. And then I just became Miss Earth Ecuador. Yeah, because by that time there was no pageants. It was only through direct selection.
Okay, and he made a really good choice.
He really saw your potential.
He saw my potential. Yeah,
it's quite interesting, actually, Drew, because this pageant that she joined, Miss Bikini Universe, where she placed, where you, Katherine, placed first runner-up, was also the same pageant that former Miss International 2012 joined in, and she was one of the top 10. So
really,
yeah,
wow.
that was like a long time ago, really long time ago. So this pageant, Miss Bikini Universe, is actually very big in China. Like probably it's not that big in some places, but it is actually a big pageant, and it gave you a really good experience and exposure.
Definitely, it was really another stepping stone for pageantry, because it was like 3 weeks there, and so many activities, so many girls. It was more girls than Reinado Internacional Café, because there was like 20, 25.
Yeah.
And then China is like 70. So it was more girls, more competition. And I placed first runner up. Venezuela won that year, but we did good.
So after joining Miss Bikini Universe, did it cross your mind to join other national pageants, or
yeah,
you really wanted to go to Miss Earth already?
Well, somehow, like I told you, I always had this in my mind that I will join Miss Earth. Hopefully one day I can join Miss Earth. But I didn't know that, Jose Hidalgo, national director back then, was going to choose me. So for me, it was a surprise. And of course, it was like, that was meant for me. But I was also considering the fact of joining Miss Ecuador to go to Miss Universe, because I already thought, that I can do this. I've done pageants in other countries and I've done well. I have experience, so it was more helpful for me. So I also wanted to join Miss Ecuador in a time, But then this happened of Miss Earth, so I was like, nah, I have to go to Miss Earth.
Yeah. So you grabbed the opportunity.
Yes, you always have to take the opportunity. You never know if it's going to happen twice.
I agree with that one, 100%, Katherine. You have to grab the opportunity. Opportunity doesn't knock twice.
Yes, you have to take it the first time. Then if not, you'll regret. To all the girls that want to join pageants, if you have the opportunity and it's going to be an amazing experience, just do it. Even if you don't win, it's okay. I haven't won all my pageants. I've lost. I've been there. Just congratulations. But eventually you will get there. You just have to put your heart there. That's it.
And then you said that you were chosen and there was no national pageant. So what was the most difficult thing you did to prepare before you went to the Philippines for Miss Earth?
The most difficult part was arranging my how can I say my outfits, my dresses, because I had a few issues with my national director back then, and I had problems, with regarding my national costume, my gown, and my gowns that I will be taking for for dinners and very special events through the pageant. So that was a very difficult part of me, because I remember I was so desperate, because I had to stay in New York for like 3 days and then fly to the Philippines. I was so desperate looking for my dress everywhere in Manhattan. You had no idea. I was just crazy. I was going to every shop, going here, going there with my cousin. And I remember like that was a very bad experience, that I was actually in Manhattan and I was so worried that I had not find my dress. I had to fly the next day. And with that, I was very skinny, and I was, just somehow dieting and everything. And I remember in Manhattan, I was with my cousin, and then I wanted to throw up because of with all the stress. I wanted to throw up, and then she was like, "No, come here! Don't throw up in the street! Don't do that! You're a miss! You're a miss!" And then she dragged me into the grocery store. I was there looking for a bathroom. I was able to find a bathroom, and I vomited just like water, because I hadn't eaten the whole day. I was so stressed out, and it was pretty much, it was that, it was just the stress of, wow, I'm going there and I'm going to meet with so many girls, and I didn't have my dress. So it was very stressful. That was a very difficult part.
That really is stressful, looking for what to wear for 1 month.
That was stressful.
But you are a
Yeah.
very positive woman.
Because I was
Very,
prepared
very
in
positive.
everything already. I was prepared here. That was already done. So it was
Your very positive outlook in life, Catherine, really helped you, because no matter how difficult it was, you still saw, the silver lining.
Well,
yeah,
we'll talk
definitely.
we'll talk more about the gown later. But
Okay.
now, I want you to remember the moment that you arrived in the Philippines, and it's already Miss Earth. So what were you thinking, that knowing that you had struggles looking for your wardrobe, and then it's already here. I'm already in the Philippines. So what was running through your head back then?
Oh, wow. I remember that I wanted to cause the best impression. Like, I wanted to be just perfect. So in the airplane, I had my hair done already. So I just had to take it out, and then it's ready to go. And my outfit in my small luggage. So I was just thinking of making the first impression. I was very focused on that. And then I was like, they're going to receive me, and they're going to receive so many beautiful women. So if I arrive in the airport looking like I just woke up, I will just be one more of the girls, And then I was just focused on staying, very just with energy and being perfect. I did makeup, I did all that. And then once I arrived there, it wasn't a strange feeling. I remember it was like, wow, I've never been in this country, how people are going to be. But it was immediate. It was crazy how I was just able to bond with people. People were just so nice to me for somehow. And I was like, is this real? Like, why are people so nice to me? And then I just let myself just like flow. I was like, oh wow, I've met these beautiful people. I just have to have fun and just be myself. And that's what I did. That's why I was able to bond so well with my fans, and I create so many fans there, just because I just let myself be, and suddenly I just felt like I was at home. I was at home, and Filipinos were just very nice to me, very helpful, like, let me help you with this, let me help you with that. And I just felt like a queen. Suddenly, I arrived to the airport. I was already a queen.
They say that if
Yeah.
you just wear a sash in the Philippines, once you have a sash or a crown, even if there's no crown, if you just have a sash, people will start treating you differently in the Philippines because they know that, oh, this woman is a title holder. We have to treat her like a queen.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed. Actually, the Filipinos are just very nice to everyone, pretty much. You know, and if you're a um, Filipino that loves pageants, then that's another story. You know, but
Mm.
eventually, in general, Filipinos are just very, very nice people. Wow, I could live
And
there.
I'm pretty sure you really made a very good impression because you were named the darling of the press, tied with
Yes.
Miss Philippines during
Uh
the
huh.
press presentation. At that point, did you realize that you were a top contender already?
Yeah, I realized that I was making a difference among all the girls because the
Uh,
press was already seeing me, but that was not necessarily for me like, oh, I got this. It was more of, okay, people like me, the press likes me, but it's not just about that.
mm.
So of course, for me, it was a point of favor, let's say, for me, but I was never really sure of everything. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for sure, during that day, you already saw all of the girls that you're competing with. Who can you name who among the girls were you thought would be your uh, toughest competitors?
Um. Okay. I've always thought of United States.
Mhm.
I saw Brazil because I didn't get to see her that often, just in a few activities. Brazil was very pretty, the body, everything with USA. So it was something that I have to admit, like they had better bodies than me. So it was like, wow, they're already there. And then pretty much I remember those two were like my top two that I've seen, because USA was always so beautiful, and her
Yes,
hair was
always made
perfect.
up.
Her makeup she was always perfect. And then Brazil,
Yeah.
she was also very beautiful too all the time. So, I was
Mhm.
always analyzing those type of stuff. But pretty much just them. They were my top contenders.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then before you competed in Miss Earth, there was like a belief or that for some fans that if you win most of the medals, you don't place or win. But
I was
you
scared
were,
of that.
yeah, you were the like the first Miss Earth to win with the most number of medals. What can you say about that?
Wow, that's very nice. That will stay in history. But I was actually scared of that because I heard that before, let's say 2015 pageant, Panama also plays very well, and she won medals, and she was a favorite, and then she never placed. So I
Mm,
was also scared. I was like, I've done really well throughout the competition, but it's not for certain that I will place. But I also was very sure of my knowledge and my English, that I was like, no, once I get to top 16, I got this. It was like,
mm.
I'll be there. But of course, I was always very scared because you never know what could happen, right? But I was always very positive still through that.
That's great. Um, and now I want to know at what point in the competition did you feel that this is going to me, the crown is going to me?
Um, Throughout the competition, I felt very confident when I won a competition. I think it was resorts wear competition with all the
Mm,
girls. I was one of the girls that won medals, and then I won sponsors awards and everything. So if I made to sponsors award, for me was stepping stone among all the girls, because I was already, being seen by people, being seen by a lot of people. So that was already something that made me more confident, being able to compete with all the girls. And then by that time, I remember it was like 3 days after, or 4 days, the competition, the final. So by then I was already very, very confident of myself that I can make it at least to top 16. But of course, being able to win the crown, that was another story. That was part of my preparation before in Ecuador, with environmental stuff and everything, with me speaking on public and everything. That was already something that I prepared. So I was very confident I can make it to top 16 when I was doing good. Yeah.
Before I move forward to the finals night, I just want to talk about your activities in the Philippines during your Miss Earth competition, because we all know that Miss Earth is one of the pageants where there are a lot of pre-pageant activities, and girls travel to a lot of places in the country almost every day. So what one place that you've been to during your competition that really stuck to you, that was super close to your heart?
Oh, that's really close to my heart is Davao. In the Philippines, yeah. It's Davao. I remember that. I have friends from there. I speak to them sometimes. I do video calls with them. And yeah, of course, they're fans, pageants. And it was very, wow, it was like I felt like at home somehow with them. They were always smiling, and they were always trying to help me somehow. I mean, they help everyone, but it was like with me a special treatment. Maybe because they like me. But I remember that very much. From all the cities that I went to, Davao was definitely one place that I really, really much miss. And I think I also won there something. I don't remember if I won a competition or something there in Davao. Yeah, it was resorts wear competition we had there in Davao. I remember in a resort, and yeah, it was very nice. Everyone, makeup artists, hairstylists, the assistants. It was crazy. I was friends with everyone, I think.
Yeah, and I remember you went back there during your reign.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
I think
I
they
was
invited you to
invited.
judge. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. They invited me to judge. I was so happy to go back. You have no idea all the fans that were there, just waiting for me. Crazy. So nice.
Yeah, and now we go to the um, finals night, and I think Stephen has a question,
What?
All right.
a controversial
Okay.
question about the finals night.
No, why did you ask me about that one? No, actually, I really want to ask about your evening gown, because the logo of the Miss Earth was just exactly like how you actually presented it, when you did this thing.
Yes. Right?
And it was really perfectly fit into you. Like what was your idea, like, regarding your gown? Was it your first choice, or did you really prepare for that one beforehand, or whatnot? I want to know, because there are so many versions of the story, but I don't want to believe them until I get it from you.
Yes, of course. Well, this is a very interesting story. I didn't have a final gown for my competition. And I researched on different designers in the Philippines. So someone recommended me to Leo Almodal. So I texted him through Facebook, and I started to speak with him regarding my design and what I wanted to use. And this was 2 weeks before the competition. So of course we spoke. He sent me the drawings. I want to do this. I want to do that, and I was like, wow, that's perfect. That's what I need. That's what I want. Of course, we spoke about the cost and everything, and everything was great until like 5 days before the competition. I had to already do my fitting for the dress, he had to go to the hotel and do the fitting, and okay, but we didn't have time because I was always arriving late for to the hotel after all the activities, so we were unable to just fit in the time. And then one day before the competition, he said that the dress was already almost ready and to just everything is fine, don't worry, I'll take the dress tomorrow with my assistant. So I was confident that everything was going to be great because Leo was already a famous designer, and I knew he was going to do it well. Then the competition came in, and I remember that it was already like 3 p.m. and I was texting Leo. I was like, "You're not here. Where's my dress? Please, you have to come. I need to fit on the dress. Maybe you have to arrange something." Oh my God. I was already starting to get desperate. And then his assistant goes into how can I say, the backstage. He went backstage with all the girls, and then he saw me. He was like, Kate, let's go to the restroom, and I want you to fit the dress. I was like, yeah, the dress is here. The dress was not there. It was another dress. And I was like, okay, try this on. It's like, he gave me a red dress. I was like, this is not my dress. My dress was the shiny one and the winning one. And then he's like, okay, but I want you to try this on because Leo is on his way with your dress and there's a lot of traffic. So we're worried that he might not be able to get here. So just try this. Maybe if something happens, just try this dress. I was like, oh, wow, no, this is not going to happen. Okay. I tried on the dress. Everyone, I saw that a few had a lot of red dresses. I was like, no, I can't use red because everyone will use red. It has to be different.
Yeah, right.
and then he said, don't worry, Catherine, Leo will get here, don't worry. And then of course it was already 6 p.m. It was about to start the show around 7, and Leo was not there. So I was, I just put in my mind that everything was going to be fine, everything was going to be great. Leo will arrive, I will have my dress. And then the show started. I placed top 16. I went on my bikini, right? And then I saw Leo's assistant backstage. And then I was like, "Where's my dress? Where's my dress? Where's my dress?" Because I had to put on my dress already. I still can't believe how calm I was and how I was just leading the situation nicely. I don't even know how I did it, but he was like, "Catherine, I'm so sorry, we don't have your dress." Leo wasn't able to finish it. We are so sorry, but you know what? We have another dress here that you can try. It's beautiful. It's not red. You can use this dress. And then out of nowhere, he takes out a box, and then he takes out the yellow gown. And then I was like, "Oh, it's pretty. Okay, just put it on. And then fit perfect. It was just perfect. And then everyone was just looking at me, staring at me. The girls were like, "Oh, wow, the dress and everything." And of course, I had no idea who was the owner of the dress. I had no idea. I thought it was Leo's. And then the guy was just the assistant, because I never saw Leo. The assistant was like, Kate, just go have fun. This is yours. Go and enjoy the dress. It fits perfect. You look perfect. You look beautiful. And then I was just, that with my mind. This is perfect. I got this. This is a beautiful dress. I don't care what happened. And I went there on stage, and it was perfect. It was a perfect moment. I remember everyone was just like,
perfect, beautiful.
Thank you. Everyone was shocked.
I could still remember it, memorable. And you
know
didn't rehearse for that one
people...
because you never wore it beforehand. There was no rehearsal.
Never.
You didn't do it.
Nothing.
Moment.
It was everything was just natural at that moment. Never rehearsed, never used the dress before in my life. It was just perfect. And just people were very shocked when they saw me, and I was like, wow, so it's a beautiful dress. I got this.
I have one word for what happened. Serendipity.
Oh, serendipity. Gosh.
Yeah. Because it's the first time that she wore it, and then it happened, and it was a happy occurrence.
I know, it's crazy, right? How destiny is just, how in your life just things just place in together and make it the perfect thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't understand how it happened, but it happened to me.
do you remember like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were interviewing Pia, we didn't even know the history behind her gown, and we didn't have any idea that she just wore that gown like a day before the finals, or almost like less than 24 hours before the final happened. And we have like a record-breaking story here because hers was never
seconds
fit at all.
before seconds
Mine was
before she went out on
seconds
stage.
before.
Or she,
Literally, we had 2 minutes. We had 2 minutes to dress. So it was like running, put on the dress, makeup, hair. Can you imagine that? It's crazy. I had seconds.
Yeah, I can imagine because I know that Miss Earth is taped as live, so it's really fast paced.
oh,
Because
yeah.
I've seen Miss Earth a couple of times, and it's just a short break before the next segment. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine the stress that you have thinking about
Oh,
where your gown is, but you stay calm about all of that. So
it's crazy. I don't even know how he did it, but I was able to do it and able to control the situation and just go with the flow.
I know that some people probably argue with me with this if I say it, but you know, a lot of fans probably could attribute the winning or the victory of a certain beauty queen because of the gown that she wore. But for me, like, you know, after Pia, after Catherine, for example, and aside from the two of you, I also know Bea Santiago's time in 2013 when she joined Miss International. She only wore her evening gown like 2 or 3 days before the finals herself, and then there was no fitting before she arrived in Japan. So like I have heard stories about international beauty queens or international winners not exactly knowing what they're supposed to wear during the final night, but
Yeah.
actually winning it. So this just like, you know, erase all these what is this legend, or I don't know, like this belief that the gown that makes someone win. But you know, here it is. You know, I think it's really, if it's really meant for you, it's really meant for you. And the one who wins the crown is actually the one whom the judges love. You know, probably it's the inner beauty,
Yeah.
so to speak. Like even if they say it's cliche, but it's the inner beauty that stood out, and that's the one that the judges appreciated, and that's how you won.
That's right. Yeah. Pretty much. Just things just plays in together to make it happen
Yeah.
somehow. It was going to be a
But the gown was
disaster.
really beautiful.
What was that?
That was really beautiful.
the
Oh,
gown
thank
was
you.
really beautiful.
That yellow,
Thank you.
that
I
gold.
know. It was beautiful. It was just perfect.
Yeah,
I think it was really meant for you
it was
to
really.
wear that yellow gown.
Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, and then we all know that when you went out in that yellow gown, everyone in the arena was like, "Oh, wow!" And when you answered the question, I think that was the deal breaker
Yeah, that's the
because
most important piece.
among all the top four, you were the only one who answered in English.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty much, I was able to stand out when
Uh,
it was just there. Everyone saw it. I answered well. I did it well. I actually, not just in English, but I was able to say a message that was actually meaningful, not just speak English, but it had to have a meaning. So I knew that because I had the chance to answer first when we were top
yes.
four. So I was able to listen to all the girls when they spoke, right? So I did my job. I did it well. And then I was able to listen to all the girls. And I remember that I was listening to all the girls and I was like, I
Mm.
got this.
So after the last girl answered, you already know that
You
you
have
got
the
it.
feeling that, oh, I think I got this one. I think this
Yeah.
crown is already mine.
Yeah, by that time I was already very confident. I was like, I got this.
Hmm.
I got this.
And then when it was announcement already, they first announced Brazil, who you thought was one of the strongest contenders. And then they announced Venezuela, who was the one of the top favorites
Yeah,
during that.
the pre-arrival favorite, basically.
So the two of you holding hands were you and Colombia. And I remember there was a story from the Missosology founder, Rick Galvez, who saw you, Colombia, and a couple of other candidates in the airport, like weeks before the finals. And then when he messaged us, he told us that I think the winner will be either Colombia or Ecuador because he talked.
Really?
Yeah, because he talked to the two of you, and then when it was the finals, the last two standing were you, Ecuador, and Colombia. And he was like,
Wow.
I told you guys.
Wow.
He was so
He has,
proud of
he
it.
has, he
He's
has an
very
eye
proud of
for
it
it.
until now. Until now, he's very proud of it.
Wow.
He even wrote a story about it on Missosology.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's
yeah. And when I want you to take us back to that moment when they announced Miss Earth 2016 is Ecuador. What was running through your head? Like because you said earlier that after the Q&A you knew that you got it, but what was the feeling when they finally announced your name?
well. My mind was very much um in blank. It was like somehow I felt like trapped in a bubble. It was like I was trapped in a bubble. I was just closing my eyes, opening my eyes. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe this. This is actually happening. And then, of course, I was always putting in my mind Ecuador, 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 Ecuador. It was like Ecuador, Ecuador, Ecuador. Come on. I just wanted to listen to him say Ecuador, And when that happened, I don't know if you saw my expression. It was like, wow, it's like crazy. And of course, people were clapping, people so happy, people cheering and everything. It was a moment where I said to myself, wow, um,
You made it.
there had to be one day that I had to win and win big. So
Uh-huh.
it was like my moment, because before, I never, somehow I didn't place, I didn't win. And then that moment for me was like, wow, I can't believe I was able to win this. It's possible. It was like, wow, you did it, you did it yourself. It's crazy, you did it yourself. It was just, yeah, it was full of emotions, of course, but I was not thinking of I am not going to win. I was always thinking, this is for me, this is for me, this is for me. And yeah, pretty much I was always very positive until the end. And
Yeah.
somehow maybe it works.
And it was a realization of your dream when you were 16 years old.
Yes.
Like when you were 16, you visualize yourself as a Miss Earth, and then finally you won Miss Earth.
Yes, I know. It's crazy. The law of attraction just works in mysterious ways, but it works.
Like I
And
have a confession, by the way, Drew. I have a confession
Stephen.
because I know Miss Earth. I watched the finals of Miss Earth, but I never really followed the journey of a Miss Earth winner until Catherine won.
Oh, thanks.
No,
Really?
well, really honestly, because I think you have been to the Philippines so many times. That's another thing, and plus the fact that you're friends with my friend Jose, so that's another thing because you keep on updating
Yeah.
me what you're doing. So I think you are the Miss Earth. You're the first Miss Earth winner among the 16 before you, no, 15 before you, who won the title that I have really closely followed because uh,
Oh.
yeah, like that's why I really know you. Like somehow, like we haven't met personally, but I feel like some sort of a connection with you because you have so many activities. I mean, I may not be able to enumerate everything, but you are your face. I could always remember. Oh, that's Catherine. Like she's her. So
That's
she's
so
the winner in
nice.
2016.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for following me throughout my life.
Hopefully, I'll
As
be
Miss
able to visit you in
Earth.
Ecuador one of these days. One of the countries I would
And
really love to visit.
definitely, you guys
But
are
in
invited.
Japan as well, Catherine. Actually, I live in Japan, so if you have a chance
Oh,
to come over, yeah.
yes, yes, of course. Hopefully very
I also,
soon. Hopefully
I
very
also
soon.
have a confession.
Okay.
Catherine is the first Miss Earth that I have interviewed like many times, and I've seen in person many times. And she's the only beauty queen that whenever I see her, she always grabs me and then hugs me right away.
Uh,
And
Oh,
that's how
that's so
special
nice.
Catherine is to me. Like I always remember her, especially
Oh,
during the year when you pass your title, And then you and Jose were running outside the arena. And then I saw you. And then Catherine went out of her way to go to me and say thank you and
Oh,
thank you to Missosology. So we
oh.
really appreciate how you appreciate what we are doing.
Of course, I appreciate the work that you guys do. It's not easy, and you really have to love this. And I can see that you guys put heart and soul into this. It's crazy. Like, I really admire what you guys do. And of course, I always see you and I want to hug you. I don't know, for a reason. It's like I have I have to do it. I don't know why. Yeah. Crazy.
And now going back to when you won already, and then I remember we were very we followed your reign, um, every detail of your reign because of Jose, because he always sends us photos or videos of
He
what's
does.
happening to you in Ecuador.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he does.
you were the third Miss Ecuador to win a major title. And how was it when you arrived in your country?
Oh, it was crazy. It was very crazy. I remember at the airport, a lot of people. Oh, it was crazy. A TV correspondents from everywhere, newspaper. There was a lot of people. Actually, from my hometown, there were like two buses of people, just full of people that wanted to see me, and people, of course, from Guayaquil and other fans. But it
Mhm.
was so crowded. It was. I felt like a star, like a famous Hollywood star. Pretty much, I arrived at the airport. It was crazy. People just cheering my name and with Catherine and making sounds, and I was just, wow. I remember that when I arrived, somehow before I was not really conscious that I won Miss Earth. It was like, I can't believe it. But then when I arrived at the airport and then I saw all these people, I saw my parents and everyone, I was like, I really won. I really got it. But it was that feeling. It was, just me being able to accept the fact that, wow, I actually did this. And then TV correspondents just making interviews with me. How was it? Let me know, and this and that. And then that was a moment where I actually accepted that I was Miss Earth. it was strange, but it happened in that way.
Let me chip in a little bit, because I'm just a little bit curious about your childhood in your hometown. Correct me if I'm wrong with the pronunciation. Is it La Troncal?
Yeah, La Troncal. La
How
Troncal.
how was it growing up in La Troncal?
Well, I was in La Troncal until I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then I flew to the US for almost 6 years. So it was like I grew up my childhood, middle of my childhood, half, right? Half in the US, half in Ecuador.
Okay.
And of course, in La Troncal, my childhood was very happy. Like, I remember my childhood with my cousins, my friends, just playing anything, playing with rocks, playing with just anything. We made special parties among us, and we used to get money, each and one of us, and we'll buy like food, and we'll make like a party. It was a very joyful and happy childhood that I had. Of course, it was a bit difficult because my parents flew to the U.S. As immigrants, of course, leaving me behind with my aunt. So I was raised by my aunt and with my cousin, of course, for like 4 or 5 years. So I was also away from my parents. My mom left to the U.S. when I was 2 only. So of course it was a bit tricky. I was always speaking on the phone with my parents, and for a few years I didn't grow up with them, but I was always still very happy, and it was beautiful. My childhood, I have nothing bad to say about it. It was very nice.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So now I want to move forward to your reign as Miss Earth. So Uh, you were one of the most traveled queens in 2016. You've been to Angola, Ghana, Reunion Island, Puerto Rico, Chile, Singapore. I can name a lot more. But which one of all these countries that you visited was the most memorable to you?
Except the Philippines, okay? Because I think
Yeah,
you can still say
except the Philippines.
I know, I always say the Philippines. I will have to say one of the most beautiful countries was Chile. Chile was a very nice experience for me. I always say it on my interviews. Chile was very nice. I think because of the national directors, they were actually very, very nice people, and I felt at home. Somehow, I was all the way on the other part of the world, and then I came back to Puerto Rico and USA, and then I went back, and I went all the way to the south, Chile, and of course, it was like, wow, I'm bonding with my Latin people somehow, and yeah, I've never been to that country, and the experience was very nice, and especially the girls. I'm still friends with the girls. Can you imagine? They always text me. They always remember me, and the national directors as well. So I would have to say Chile was definitely one of my best. Yeah.
That's great to know. And now we talk about the Philippines because during your reign also, you were appointed as Philippine Tourism Ambassadress. So
Yeah.
one of our fans asked us, what was your best memory of the Philippines?
Best memory of the Philippines. Well, of course, I was always so in love with your islands because you guys have beautiful islands there. And I've been a tourism ambassadress, but back then I was able to travel to all these islands for free, and I was treated as royalty all the time I was there. So I can't really say a memorable moment because every single of the provinces that I went to, it was memorable because just the just the scenario, the islands, the people, and just the treatment that they gave me everywhere I go in the Philippines, it was beautiful. But of course, experiences as itself. I remember I had one when I went to a very remote island in Isabela, province of Isabela. It was very remote island where there were Filipinos there living there that had no lights. Because remember, I was also promoting Litter of Light, that we were giving out liters of light to different people that don't have light, have access to light. So I went to this very remote island in a helicopter, and just the people there were so nice. Of course, they were very poor, very poor and humble, but they were like, it was very memorable to me because people were just very nice to me, and they saw me big somehow, and I was able to just give them something good for them to keep, and that was the light that we took there to the remote island. And just imagine, I was just speaking to one of the girls there, and she was telling me how they don't have access to anything. They're just living in, just there. And of course, authorities from Isabela and everyone are just taking care of them in a way, but they prefer to live there in a remote island. So you just imagine a remote island, people living there, and that was definitely something I just saw in movies, not in real life. That was very memorable to me.
I want to add also that during your reign, you're one of the, you were very, how do I say this? Very visible during your reign. You've spoken to a lot of conferences around the Philippines and abroad, but one of, I think, the many challenges that you faced was when you were criticized for your figure because you gained a few pounds when you went back to the Philippines. So I'm curious to know, how did you face all these challenges aside from all the duties that you were doing back then as Miss Earth?
Well, it was very challenging, I will have to accept, because of course, my intentions were to stay slim and just to stay like a beauty queen must be. But for some reason that I don't understand, um, everything I ate was just making me gain pounds, and I gained a lot of pounds, and I didn't have time to exercise. Honestly, I had I did exercise, but I didn't have much time, I remember. But dealing with all the bullying and cyberbullying back then, I remember it was a lot. That never affected me
Mm.
because I accepted the fact that I was ready, you know. I gained pounds. I accepted that reality in my life, but I was not, just telling myself every day, just criticizing myself. I was not doing that. Whatever they have to say is their opinion. That would not affect me emotionally, mentally, none in a way. So pretty much I just focus on eating well and trying to exercise more, and that's it. Throughout, of course, throughout my reign, I was never skinny. I tried to, but it was very difficult just traveling to so many countries, eating food everywhere I arrived, there was food all the time. They wanted to feed me all the time. I couldn't say no to everyone.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. And of course, change of time. In one day I'm in one country, the other day I'm in another country, another city. So it was very difficult. But of course, there are no excuses. But I think that maybe I had a hormone problem. I have no idea, but I didn't
Mhm.
worry about it. I just accepted the fact that I had gained pounds. That's it.
Yeah. And one thing that fans should realize is gaining pounds doesn't affect a queen's reign or your duties, because you did your job amazingly well when you
Most
were Miss Earth.
especially in
Yeah.
Miss Earth, I guess, because this is really a pageant which focuses a lot on your advocacy and how you
Mm.
actually give raising awareness for the preservation of the environment and saving the planet Earth. I mean, like, what does body figure have to do with it? Especially that you've already
Exactly.
won a crown, like you did a great job. And like I said,
Thank
well,
you.
you were so visible thanks to Jose, but Jose might be so happy that we've been mentioning his name here several times. But yeah, indeed, you have one really good buddy who has been so good in promoting you all throughout your reign. And yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's what's important.
for the record, I had no problem with your body back then when you were.
Thank you, guys.
It's a woman's body. It should be celebrated. And like, I don't like skinny girls or
Mm.
women basically. So I think something. But yeah, you were able to handle it pretty well. So
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I just focus on doing my job, and
leave the
I
bullies at home.
yeah leave the bullies on the side. I don't care.
I'm going back to one of the articles that I wrote during a rain, and there was a quote from you and on Instagram, and you said, "Wearing a crown didn't just mean looking physically perfect. It brought together many responsibilities." And I think you focused on the responsibilities a lot, and that's what really matters.
Yes, honestly, I was always thinking every day on what to do. What
Mm,
should I do? What's next? What's my next project? Every time I was always thinking of that. I
mm,
was always focused on that more than anything else.
yep. And I think you really set the bar high for Miss Earth, considering that at that time, Miss Earth was getting a lot of criticisms from pageant fans. And you set the bar high. You brought sophistication to the brand.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice to know. Wow.
And I think you really did a great job during your reign. This is coming
Thank
from a Miss Earth fan myself.
you.
You are like a
Thank you.
savior of Miss Earth, Catherine. That's what we want to say.
Sorry, what was
You're like
that?
the savior of Miss Earth. Savior, like
Savior.
yeah, savior.
Hero?
Yeah, like
Like
a hero.
a hero?
Because like what Drew said, the Philippines winning back to back 2014 and 15 did not resound very well to some critics of Miss Earth. Um, it's not because that Angelia was not deserving. Of course, she deserved to win, but it wasn't. It was really very difficult for Missosology. Back then, I remember I was one of the defenders of Miss Earth because I was a correspondent before I eventually landed in my current job. But remember back then, it was really hard to defend Miss Earth, and then you came, you know, and
Mhm.
you really brought Miss Earth at a whole new level with your activities,
Dedication.
dedication.
Thank
So yeah, dedication. You worked so hard, and that was really pretty. It was really admirable. I do believe that your predecessors, excuse me, also did well, but you have really set the bar so hard, like what Drew said.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me, honestly. It's crazy that after almost 3 years,
Yeah.
people actually remember all the things that I've done. I will
Of
sometimes
course,
forget
we
all the things that I've
remember.
done. But
Of
it's,
course, we
it's
remember.
very nice to leave a legacy. I've always thought that once you have the power to do something big, you have to try to do it well, try to do it the best you can, try to leave a legacy, because you may not have the chance, you may never have the time again to do it. So why not do it now? Right now I'm skinny and it's okay.
Yeah, you only have one
Back
year to
then,
reign. You only have 1 year to reign. You have to make the most out of it. And you really did
yeah,
your best, and you made the
that's
most
what
out
I
of
try to do. Yeah, that's what I try to do. I was like, I'm not going to be in that country again. I have to eat.
it.
And
Yeah,
when you
and
said
that's true.
that,
I haven't gone back.
we remember everything, I remember everything that you did during your reign because I wrote an article about you.
He's
Oh,
very,
that's nice.
he is a very, very dedicated writer of Miss Earth, especially during your year.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice, Drew. Thank you.
Followed everything. Like whenever you go, when you have a photo of the Mount Mayon, okay, let's post it. Share a photo in Davao, let's post it.
I know. I
Because
was going
because
everywhere. I was
because
going everywhere.
you were very warm and cordial to the press and to the fans, and I think a queen like that deserves so much attention.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I was able to make a lot of good friends in the Philippines. They also opened up many doors to me. Like the fact that of living in the Philippines itself made me have more opportunities to being able to mingle and just do more activities, projects, being involved in more things with the organization, with carousel productions and everything. So I had more time. That's why when I went to the Philippines, I was like, I have to live here for my whole reign. So I was given the chance. So why not do it?
Yeah, and now we move forward to the day that you passed on the crown. And how was it? What was the feeling of being crowned by Miss Philippines and then passing the crown to Miss Philippines?
I know, right? Crazy. Well, honestly, for me, that day was a day where I was very happy. I wasn't actually sad. I was happy that wow, the day is here and I'm passing my crown, and I was already feeling so successful with all my year on reign that I felt very just happy that I'm doing this, and I was just enjoying that day because I remember that I prepared for that day with hair, what I'm going to do with my makeup, my jewelry. I had diamonds everywhere. It was crazy. And so I was like, I have to enjoy my last time in a stage on a
Yeah,
stage. So for me, it was like, oh God. And then I was able to do the whole opening and the show and the dance. And so for me, I was just having fun on that day. I was not sad. I was just having fun and saying goodbye to a stage because it was the last time I was able to be on a stage. So I think that's why a lot of people just saw me. I remember they were commenting. They were like, "Oh, you looked so nice and you look so happy and you were enjoying. You were supposed to be sad because you're passing the crown and the time is over." But for me, it was not that. It was about that moment, enjoying the moment, and that's it. And then when a Filipina won, I was shocked. Not because, of course, not because she didn't deserve it, but I was shocked because I predicted that she will win. I told her.
oh,
I told her. I remember when we were on a activity with girls, and I was as Miss Earth, of course. And then she was sitting next to me. She was smart because she was sitting next to the Miss Earth, and then she wanted to ask me questions and everything, right? So we were speaking, and then I told her not to focus only on looking perfect and just the physical part. I always spoke to her in a way that you have to prepare yourself on how to speak better than the others, how to make an impact on what's here, and then projecting that to everyone to see it, that you are you're a smart girl and you are very intelligent and that you're focused on this and you know what you're doing. And I was giving her so many advices, and I told her, focus on that, prepare yourself, read every day, look at what's going on in the world, make yourself informed. I was advising her, and I told her, if you do that, if you follow my advices, I can reassure you that you're going to win. You're a beautiful girl, you're very elegant, you're very sophisticated, very educated, and you're very smart. So just take all those in your favor and use it well. And she did it. And look, she won. So for me, it was like, wow. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. It was crazy, but somehow I knew it. Of course, I saw all the girls too, but she was the most focused. She was always just there, very humble. She was not like a diva or anything. I think it was a very well choice that they did, honestly.
Yeah, and remember, Stephen, when we interviewed Karen, she mentioned Catherine as one of the influences.
Yeah, she did.
Why she won.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
She made a special mention of you.
Oh, wow. That's nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that of Karen. That's so nice. Yeah. So nice of her to remember, because I remember that moment. And then when she won, I was like shocked that she made it.
Yeah.
She did well.
Before I ask about Miss Earth Ecuador, I want to know who among all the past Miss Earth winners, except you, that you really admire the most?
Among all the Miss Earths?
Yeah.
It has to be Olga then.
Yeah, well, I haven't followed many Miss Earths, honestly. Throughout Instagram, that now that everyone is just on Instagram and everything, I've been able to see a little bit of them. But I don't want to lie to you. Like, honestly, I don't have a favorite one. Like, I don't have one that I can say, oh wow, she's really like my inspiration or anything. Not because they're bad or anything. It's just that I haven't really followed up all their life and all the pageant life in them. But I do only like have in mind when I was a candidate, I was always looking at Angelia on how her preparation was. I was seeing her YouTube videos when she won, her personality, her echo video, everything. Like, I was really following her throughout that time, I remember. Because, very beautiful girl, humble, and I wanted to somehow know what Miss Earth is looking for. So she's one of the girls that I was definitely following at that time. And of course, back then she was really my inspiration, and in becoming Miss Earth, definitely.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
And now, a few months after you crowned Karen, you were named as the new national director of Miss Earth Ecuador. So, what did you think when they offered you that you can be the national director? Was there pressure on your part?
Yes, of course. There was pressure on me, but I had, I had been with that pressure before even giving out my crown, because Lorraine, in a few occasions, we spoke about her wanting the Miss Earth title holders to be national directors in their countries, because they know how the pageant is and they can do a good job. And she was always telling me how she really wants that, like Alice Henrich from Venezuela and other girls too. So we were always speaking about that. So we already spoke about it before. But of course, for me, it was a bit stressful at first because not a lot of people saw it well. But on the other side, there were a lot of people that were very happy with it, and of course, my fans and everyone. It was that cheered me up, and of course, it was a challenge. It's still a challenge to me because
Mhm.
starting from scratch on pageant for Miss Earth Ecuador in Ecuador itself, it's been very challenging. It hasn't been easy. It's been very difficult for me, but I'm still there, working every day for that. And of course, just very thankful to Carousel Productions and Lorraine for making me the national director of my country and having this big responsibility. For me, it was a very good experience, and
Mhm.
it's still a very good experience for me as national director. I'm learning every day
Yeah,
from
you're
that.
growing. You grow as a person. You grow as a professional as well, and you get to
Yes,
impact the lives of so many young women in your country, and you're changing them for the better. Yeah. Sometimes people just don't have no idea how much impact a national director could actually give to the lives of several girls who join in the pageant system.
definitely. I've been able to give opportunities to girls that have never been in this world, and they love it. They are very successful now. They have changed their lives in a positive way, and that for me is something that I keep it here. I don't need them to thank me or anything. It's just something that I've done well, and I've seen so many girls throughout these years, and I see them very well, and I'm just feel very happy that I've done a very good job. Regarding that, we place or don't place in Miss Earth
Mhm.
International, but I've been able to do work here in Ecuador,
Yeah.
and especially leave something good in people, especially that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we all know that the pageant industry is one of the hardest hit by the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So, what's in store for the Miss Earth Ecuador 2020 pageant?
Well, I spoke to Lorraine Shook a few days ago, and regarding Miss Earth International pageant, there's still not a decision because pandemic's still going on, and at this time, I think it's very difficult for women from all over the world to just travel, right? So the what she told me is that if things don't change, then they will have to find a way where they do a virtual selection to to select a Miss Earth, but she still don't know. She's still not sure. That's why there hasn't been like official statement about it. But regarding Miss Earth Ecuador, me and my team of people were analyzing if it's a good thing to do a virtual show with girls, where we select the candidate and we put them through challenges and all that, which will be better. I'm into that also. But we are also considering um, selecting one girl and work with that girl for because it's difficult, because if it's going to be a virtual selection internationally, it's going to be difficult for a girl to you know um, show herself naturally 100%. And we are analyzing whether to select a girl or do a virtual selection. We're still analyzing with my team. We haven't made a choice yet, but with things going on right now, well, eventually we will decide very soon and make official a statement about it. Mhm.
So
And
what is your
Yeah.
we're
opinion
looking
about it?
forward.
What about like Drew and me? I think privately we have been talking about it, but what do you think of a virtual pageant? Let's say in an international arena, maybe in a national level, it's different. But let's say Miss Earth 2020 will be done as a virtual pageant. Do you have any personal thoughts about it? Do you agree with that or what? Like actually, some
Oh,
fans were asking about it.
if I believe in a
Um,
virtual
yeah,
Earth.
the virtual Miss Earth 2020 edition. If the pandemic effect won't settle within a year, will you be agreeable with that?
In a year or now, you mean?
Here now, right now, for
In
example.
this year?
Yes.
Well, I think that with all this thing going on in the world and people worrying so much about their health and about, priorities as being alive and healthy. Um, I think being able to follow a virtual pageant, of course, it's a safer way, right? It's a safer way. You give opportunities to girls to show their talent or to show how they are, their personality. Of course, it's different. It's nothing as a potential as a show. But if Miss Earth wants to follow up with the pageant and keep fans updated and keep Miss Earth getting there and keep working even with the pandemic and choosing virtually, I think it will have to be something big with analyzing the girl very well, with giving her challenges, um, really analyzing a girl that can be really hardworking to come up with projects, even if she's in one country, and seeing a girl that can actually work. I think it's possible, honestly, because we have to adapt ourselves to our reality that we live in the world. So we cannot stop ourselves from living uh, and doing what we love, right? Let's say for you, pageant teams that work with pageants and are always there. You love this, and somehow it may be work for you, but you still need content, information, and pageants now cannot be done in that way. But they can. There can be a way where there can be done to save, the girls and keep them keep them away from danger. But we still need to keep on going with our lives somehow. So we cannot stop ourselves. We have to adapt to a reality is different now. Of course, it's not what we would like, but if we can find a way in there to make it happen, I think it's possible. Why not? Just the judges will have to really analyze and make a very good selection, because it will be definitely very difficult with so many girls. Definitely.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but just have to think about the ways to.
No, that is
Yeah, and now we're on the last part of our live interview, unfortunately. So we'll just
right.
get a few questions from fans, and one question was from Instagram, and the question is, um, Miss Earth usually chooses their winners based on beauty of face, figure, intelligence, and attitude. But if you could add another criterion to pick the winner, what do you think would it be and why?
I will have to add. I don't know how to say it, but if I will have to add one that can define, will have to be personality. But I don't want to name it personality. I want to name it in a way of how the beauty queen, it's behaves and how she is with people. Because a queen, it's not only a pretty girl that it's a diva and she's perfect. She's also a girl that can mingle and can bond with people, and it's a girl that you can feel that she's part of your family, that she is someone that you can approach to. So I think that one of the very, very important things that you have to analyze in a beauty queen is really her personality, and if she's really honest with herself, and if she's honest with people, you can already tell, and analyze that personality, because it's very important, and especially if you win and then you have one whole year of reign, then it's very important to have a very good personality. I think that would be.
Yeah, and that would be very hard to judge if we do a virtual pageant, right?
Yes. Yes, very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
that would not
another
be included this year. Definitely not.
and another question, because a lot of fans are asking for tips on how to join or win Miss Earth, but I have a some sort of a what if question. What if in the future your younger sister decides that she wants to join pageants or Miss Earth? So what advice would you give her?
You have a younger sister, Kath?
Yeah, I have a
Yes.
younger sister. She's
Okay.
14. Well, if she decides to join pageant world, of course, I will advise her to prepare herself. If she really wants it, she has to prepare herself physically, emotionally, mentally, and if she doesn't do that and she's not committed to that, she doesn't have to lose her time. You know, if she really wants it, then commit yourself to that goal that she has, and of course, never lose yourself in a way that you try to become someone else or you want to imitate another person, because when you are trying to do that, you lose yourself and you lose your essence of a woman. So I will advise her that never to lose who you are, show yourself naturally, your personality, and prepare for that goal that you have. That will be my advice to her. That's what I did.
I like it when you said never lose yourself. Like
like the song, like
yeah,
Eminem.
because a lot of pageant contestants sometimes they pretend to fit a certain mold to the extent that they lose their natural self. They lose their natural personality.
Exactly, and people can notice that definitely.
Uh, yeah, and I think we're now on to the final questions. We have two final questions, but I think Stephen will give the other question.
Yeah,
So go,
I'll be
Stephen.
asking this final question actually. Should I ask it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Usually this is the question that I ask all of our guests here, because I really want to know, how do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years, and yeah, simply like that. Like,
How do I see myself
yeah.
in 5 years, 3 to 5 years? That's a very, I haven't thought of that, honestly. I haven't thought of that, but I will tell you how I want to see myself in the future. In the future, because short-term goals, I sometimes don't work. They haven't worked for me that much. But in the future, I see myself um, becoming a better professional. As a lawyer, I want to grow in my career in international law, especially with embassy, diplomacy, and all that. I really love that. And I think that's going to give me a chance to also travel a lot. But other than that, I also dream with a family, having a very beautiful family, having children. And I see all other beauty queens that get married and they have kids, and they've been through what I've been through, and now they're on another phase of their lives, right? But of course, I see myself eventually at that time having a beautiful family and being successful at my job. And of course, if I have the opportunity also to keep Miss Earth Ecuador for long, then I will keep on working little by little, but I will be still doing that because it's part of my life, it's part of what I've done, and it's something that I also do good for others. So I want to keep doing that. And yeah, pretty much that. Very simple, just being happy and feeling myself successful with what I'm doing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for
the
sharing.
final, yeah, the final question. Um, you are Miss Earth 2016. You are now National Director of Miss Earth Ecuador. You own a beauty salon. But how do you want people to remember Katherine Espin?
I want them to know me as international lawyer that will be in the UN one day, fighting for rights, for human rights, women's rights movement. I see myself doing that one day, and I want to be remembered as a woman that was able to leave a legacy for change and for someone that has fought for vulnerable people, that it's there trying to change the world and trying to make a better world. It just I want to be remembered as that person. Of course, people remember me as a beauty queen, but other than that, I think that we always have a different phases of our lives, and at this moment, I want to work on that, being able to leave that in people's lives of myself, being able to do something big, actually meaningful for the world. Mhm.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Drew.
And
Thank you so much, you guys.
finally, a message to all the Earthlings who have been supporting you even after you won 4 years ago.
Well, to all my fans, Earthlings, and pageant fans from other pageants as well, I want to just thank you for always being very, how can I say, very faithful to the pageant world in a way where you support beauty queens, and I see good messages and bad messages in pageantry, but my message is just to you as fans, try to always see the best on people and see the best on girls, and try to encourage them and motivate the girls to become better in a way where you don't offend or you don't make that person feel bad. Cyberbullying, it's very um, known nowadays, and I think that has to be controlled, and the only control that we can have is in ourselves. So if we want to emit a comment to someone, let's try to make it in a very nicely way, because not everyone is perfect, but if you can change something and you want to give an advice to someone, then do it in a nice way, do it with love, not do it with hate. So I will have to say that my message is more love and less hate, because that's what we need in our world, and especially girls in pageant. They need to be more motivated, and what best to do that than with love from our pageants fans. So thank you guys for all your love and support and all the following throughout all these years, and of course thank you for the interview.
Yeah. I think Catherine encapsulated everything that we want to tell pageant fans. No to cyberbullying.
Thank you.
Yeah, not cyberbullying, definitely. It's really, really very bad. Yeah. And before I forget, I would just like to say, I'd like to apologize first to all our fans. I think some of them were actually commenting on our Facebook page because there was a mistake with the title. It says Miss Earth 2017. It should be
There
Oh,
was
Miss
a
Earth
typo.
2016. Okay. Drew will edit it later on. No, it's not Drew's fault.
no
It's my
problem.
fault. So sorry for that one.
No problem.
Miss 2016.
Thank you again. Thank you again, Catherine, for waking up
Thank
so
you
early
guys.
for this. And we
Thank
look
you for
forward to seeing you again.
hopefully I'll be back to Manila very soon and see you, or Japan.
Yeah. Thank you.
And to
Come
all,
here, visit
to
us
all
in
our
Japan, Catherine.
yeah, and to all our followers, thank you again for tuning in to Missosology. If you want to watch all the other episodes, you can go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media that you know. Thank you again and good night.
Thank you guys. God bless. Good night.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine.